Hey everyone, Phi Farley here. It is November 9th. We are getting plays into November 10th for Saturday college football action. It is week 11 and it is a huge slate of games. It's been really difficult to kind of break it down to a top five. In fact, I went one over. I have a top six for this weekend. I'm going to throw an extra one in there that I just like a lot. So it's hard to deny where the money is, the movement is, and what seems to be the better play. So I'm going to throw an extra one out there here at the end of this. I got four sides, two totals to get to in just 1 second, though. First, let me say thank you to subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I do appreciate it. It's why I do this, is to get a bigger audience and share what I've done for 20 years. I love it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy capping. And so it's good to have a medium to be able to share that with everyone. I really enjoy breaking down games. We're coming off a 5-1 weekend, coming off a previous 5-1 weekend. So it's been 2 hot weeks in a row, looking for a third straight. If you've been betting long enough, you know that 5-1 is not sustainable. So I'm hoping we'll at least bring in a 4-2 weekend here, but always looking, of course, for a sweep 6-0. That would be great. Also, though, before I get into my picks, don't forget to check out NFL picks. They'll be coming out tonight. You can also check out my weekday pick. I got a pick coming out tonight for Boise State and Fresno State going under the total. You can check that video out as well in the breakdown of that game. All right, so let's get into Saturday's action. So first game I want to go to is going to be a total play. And I hate to go totals first, but it's the first one on the list. It's Michigan and Rutgers. So there's a couple capping strategies here that come into play. First, let me just give you what the betting percentages are at right now. Keep it in mind, it's Friday, and there's a lot of time before kickoff. 57% of the tickets are on over. However, 89% of the money is on the under. This game total started, I believe, at 50, right about 50. I'll get an updated line. 52 has been bet down to 48, now 47. I grabbed it yesterday at 48. It's now down to 47. But there's a couple capping that goes into this game that I really like. First of all, Michigan is kind of in a middle zone. Next, they have Indiana, then they have Ohio State. And that's the only thing keeping them from, that Ohio State win from the conference championship playing. Who knows what will come out of the other side. Could be Northwestern, could be Penn State. We'll see how that shakes out. But there's really not a whole... It's going to be Ohio State. They're looking ahead to that game. Rutgers, they're a 38-point favorite. I really don't see how they have a ton of motivation in this one to run up and down the field. Really, Rutgers are probably going to play right into their hands. And I say that because they have 17 picks at the QB position. 17 picks versus only 4 touchdowns thrown. Huge missed ratio. And then you look at Michigan's defense, and I think most of their offense is going to be generated out of their defense. Their defense could quite likely score 21 of their points. So, Michigan has played 3 ranked opponents in a row, and now they're getting to come home and play Rutgers, who are the basement of the Big Ten. I'm not seeing this as heavily motivated. I think they're going to come out flat. That said, I don't think Rutgers can even move the ball. I think we need Rutgers to score more than 10 here to bust the total. Michigan, I think, will score about 35, leaving the game at 35-0, 7, 3, 10. Any one of those numbers I'll take. They're all going to fall under 47. So I'll take under 47 in Michigan, Rutgers. All right, second game I have is Cincinnati laying 13.5. They're playing South Florida. If you watched my picks last week, you would know I faded South Florida. They are a hollow egg, as I like to call them. Hollow egg, meaning you look at the egg, it looks normal on the surface. You see the 7-2 record, you think you're going to take a bite, and you crack into it and find out it is full of air. They are not like all 7-2 other teams out there across college football. Cincinnati, on the other hand, a phenomenal overlooked defense this season. I heard a stat on a podcast this week. They are the 9th ranked defense when it comes to holding other offenses to their season total yards. It was 94 yards less per game than their average before they play Cincinnati. So that's a really, really nice number to know, that other teams underperform by 94 yards, completely throwing them off their game plan. And here we have South Florida that is just going to be stifled by Cincinnati. Cincinnati just held Navy shut out of that game. And now South Florida is coming in. I just don't see this as being a close game at all. I think it's a 20-plus victory. I will lay 13.5 with the Bearcats of Cincinnati. All right, next game is a real good sharp play. North Carolina catching Duke. Duke is at home. North Carolina laying 10.5. 54% of the tickets are over on North Carolina. 74% of the money is over on North Carolina. You can see the influx of money on the Tar Heels here. Duke coming off a big win as an underdog in Miami, an outright underdog, a 9-point underdog, and they win outright quite well. I think it was a 9-point win over Miami. Meanwhile, if you were to give 10.5 over to North Carolina, they would have covered every single game in the ACC except for one, and that was actually to Miami. Duke, on the other hand, been playing well. Like I said, big win against Miami, and they have Clemson at Clemson next after this game against North Carolina. So I see North Carolina playing up. I see Duke playing down. Either way, I don't need a North Carolina win. In fact, they can lose by a score. I'll take 10.5 with the Tar Heels. All right. Fourth play I have for you is going to be a quick one. SMU just not getting enough points here against UConn. SMU is a very good team. They're not an average team. They're not a poor team. They're not a UConn, that's for sure. UConn is terrible. There's no way of really sugarcoating what you can't polish that turd. UConn is awful. I don't care if they're playing at home. It's still football. And they cannot hold SMU to within 20, I don't believe. So I will lay 19.5 with SMU. It's been bet up towards SMU. That's the only thing I don't like about this play. Opened at 16, up to 19.5. 89% of the tickets over on SMU, 72% of the money on SMU. So it is a public side, not something I'm typically a fan of. So take that for what it's worth. Just a game that I like when I break down the numbers on how it will end up. Being a 20-plus point victory for SMU. But keep in mind, that is a public play, which all these other ones are more sharp plays. Speaking of, fifth game, San Jose State, Utah State. San Jose State is kind of misleading on their record and what they've done this season. They have a pretty darn good defense. They have a awful offense. The reason why they're 1-7, 1-8, 1-8, I believe, is because of their lack of offense. It is not because of their, it's 1-8. They are 1-4 in the Mountain West. I was able to pick, by the way, if you were following my picks, I picked the game they won outright when they were a 3-point favorite. They ended up winning by double digits. I know that. Utah State has been playing fantastic. Now we realize they were for real as they took Michigan State to the wire on the opening game of the season. However, here's what I see here is Utah State will probably get up to, in every one of these conference games, they've scored more than 42 points. I think they get to 45 in this one. That gives me all the way up to 17 points with San Jose State to score, of which Utah State has only they haven't allowed more than 20 points in their last, I don't know how many games. I'm going to pull it up right now for you. It is very rare that they allow more than, let's see, Hawaii 17, New Mexico 19, Wyoming 16. There's only been 2 games in which they've allowed an opponent over 20 points other than Michigan State to start the year. San Jose State is not that team at all. San Jose State's offense is terrible. This is going to take a lot of work to get this over 63.5. It's going to take San Jose State scoring on their side. It's going to take Utah State having some big plays against San Jose State's defense that's pretty good. I see a lot of ways of this going under, very few ways of it's going to go over. So I'll take under 63.5 San Jose State, Utah State. If we were to look at that line, by the way, you will see sharp money coming in on the under. I will pull it up for you live. Again, it's Friday, so it's not 84% of the tickets on the under, 88% of the money going on the under. All right, final game I have for you is a big sharp play. Charlotte, Charlotte 49ers plus 14. They are taking on Marshall. 49ers, interesting, just coming out of Tennessee, 14-13, lost to Tennessee. Great defense. This total set at only 41. Not a lot of points are going to be scored here. And you're giving Charlotte, which has the same record as Marshall in conference and overall, 14 points. I don't see how that is a good idea if you were to give them 14 points in every one of their conference games. The only team that would have outplayed that 14, they would have done it by one score, was UAB, who's 8-1 overall and 6-0 in conference. So to give that over to Marshall and say that Marshall's going to perform at the same level of UAB, or that this one's going to get out of hand against Charlotte, I just don't see it. It's not going to happen. Very, very sharp play overall. 88%. Hold on. Let me pull up the live line for Charlotte. Because I really liked the betting percentages here. It's 88% of the money is over on Charlotte, 57% of the tickets. You can see more public tickets on Marshall, sharper money coming in on Charlotte. So I'm going to take the 49ers plus the 14. So there you go. 6 plays for Saturday. Check out my Sunday picks. Those will be out tonight. Be sure you like, subscribe. I do appreciate it. I do check that out. If you have any comments, picks, or you're on the other side, please feel free to share that down below in the comments. I'll comment back, I'm sure. All right, good luck, everyone. See you again soon.